good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. If you are watching it on this day, which is Wednesday, June 7th, I think. This is Deborah Roth. This is always Deborah Roth, no matter when you're watching it. And it is, I will hopefully not cough at you. We're having this air quality alert in New York City. It's really pretty crazy from fires in Canada, north of us, and all over the East Coast, or Northeast anyway. So I will stand in my power so that I can fully embrace and deliver to you this inner goddess team member who was stunning to me to realize that I had never actually done a thing for her. I had never actually created a video for her, which is kind of amazing because she's probably one of the best known of any of the Greek gods and goddesses, really of gods and goddesses around the world, which is probably why I haven't done her before, because there's so much information about Athena out there. So she is certainly the embodiment, and if you look at the patriarchal myths around her, she is the embodiment of strong masculine energy. She was the goddess of war and strategizing. But first and foremost, she was really known as the goddess of wisdom, and that's where she wasn't so much about violent, running out in war and chopping people's heads off, but it was more strategic, how to create a strategic battle plan and that kind of thing. So that gives you some kind of hints of if you haven't discovered this already, because she is so prevalent everywhere, it gives you a hint about how it is that you can call on her when you need that kind of strategic counsel, when you need to tap into your inner wisdom. So again, I think I will try and give you some of the mythology around her that you may not know as much about. You can definitely, I highlighted her in my new moon, my virtual new moon circle, Aries new moon circle, a month and something ago, when at the Wellness Universe, which is where I've been doing these virtual new moon circles. And the theme of the circle, in true Aries fashion, Aries ruled by Mars, which is one of the warrior gods, and the topic was, what did I say that it was? It was embracing Athena for radical empowerment. So very much about where do we identify our own power source. And she comes, the myths that you have most likely heard about are that she sprung fully formed from the forehead of Zeus, the king of the gods, when the reality is, and it's such a symbolic representation of how the matriarchal cultures, hi Mary, hi Annie, of how the matriarchal cultures were in most cases very violently overrun by patriarchal warrior-led forces. But the story behind that is that Metis, whose name means wisdom, who was Zeus's first wife, gave him a heads up that his firstborn son would usurp him in power. So when she became pregnant, they didn't know whether it was a boy or girl, I guess, even though they were gods and goddesses. He swallowed her whole along with her unborn child, so that when she gave birth, that's who sprung out of her forehead. So it's such a representation of the patriarch swallowing the wisdom of the divine feminine. And so she's given kind of this bad rap in several of her myths, how she deals with Orestes. I'm just going to give you some of these names because, as I said, you will find them everywhere, all over the internet, the stories of her various myths, probably more than really just about any other god or goddess you'll find out there. She was a protectress of heroes like Hercules, Perseus, Theseus. She also, which I started to say, is she's known for, and then I just lost my train of thought, but check her out, because check out some of these myths. If you just go Athena's myths, you will get every everyone that she is known for. She's also known, interestingly enough, as the goddess who brought the skills of weaving and pottery to civilization. And one of her favorite myths that I love is that she she competed at the request of the people of Athens. She competed with Poseidon to determine who would be the ruling deity of Athens. And Poseidon stuck his trident into the ground, and there sprung a salt spring. Very exciting, very magical. What Athena offered for the Athenians was an olive tree, which could be used for food and fuel and building homes and all kinds of things. So not quite clear about who exactly voted, but it appeared to be men and women voted that Athena should be the patroness of Athens. And however, Poseidon was so enraged that he flooded the whole area, and in order to appease him, and this is where the whole patriarchy thing comes in. There's so much symbolism with all of Athena's myths. So Zeus stripped all of the women of their citizenship and gave them and rescinded their right to vote. So Athena in some way sort of won the battle but lost the war. Now there's some wonderful. Oh, I did mention that I talked a lot about Athena's myths and her three faces, maiden, mother, and crone faces. While she's got obviously all of this Greek mythology around her, she actually originated as an Amazon goddess born on Lake Triton in Libya, and she was transported to Greece when Libyans migrated there. And in that, she was one of the Amazon goddesses there. And so her three faces, the three maiden, mother, crone faces, were Pallas. She's sometimes referred to as Pallas Athena. Athena, as the warrior goddess that we have been indoctrinated to thinking of her as. And then Medusa, who she carries on her breastplate. And I've got, it's funny, this image doesn't show it so well. Oh yeah, sorry. This is one of the first statues I ever got when I started doing all my goddess discovery, when I was doing my master's thesis 25 years ago, whatever it was. And we really look at the helmet as being representative of wisdom, her shield, which she's holding at her side, which actually just has a serpent on it, which is one of her symbols, but she's usually showed with a breastplate, an aegis they called it, that had Medusa on it. Now, Medusa was originally a queen of an Amazon tribe, and was beautiful. And there's a lot of story around, and we've often heard of that Medusa was reduced, but to being this Gargon, this frightening goddess with this serpent hair. But actually, because serpents were so prevalent and so powerful, and their symbolism was so deep in these ancient cultures, was actually not a scary thing for them. And several, again, if you go and look for a lot of Athena myths, there are several myths around serpents that have to do with her. So the other big one, and again, that my pretty little statue doesn't show that. However, this from one of my favorite goddess decks, the goddess, it's going to come through backwards. I hate that, but it's the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards from Doreen Virtue. And here she's shown with the owl, which represents wisdom. There's no snake in this one, I don't think, but you see lots of different representations of her, really with these symbols of both wisdom and transformation. Serpents, snakes are typically, especially in ancient times, were known for transformation because they shed their skins and they became born anew. Now, I started to say, when I've got a lot to say, I interrupt myself. Sorry about that. I think I've shown you this before. Asteroid goddesses, sorry, it's backwards. the mythology, psychology, and astrology of the re-emerging feminine. And this gives just a wonderful background of all of the mythology around Athena and the three other asteroids in astrology, Ceres, Vesta, and Juno. But I love, because it has a very feminine approach to it. It has a very divinely feminine approach to it. It gives you the background of how Athena started out as an Amazon goddess before she was turned into this, masculine warrior, jump out of her father's head goddess that she was in Greek mythology. So I love that one. This is another one. I don't know that I've shown this here. It's Lost Goddesses of Early Greece, very old, from the early 90s. Charlene Spretnak, who's just done so many wonderful books about the divine feminine and ancient history and goddess history. So all of these give you this sense of the richness far beyond what we typically think of her being the goddess of war, goddess of wisdom, which nothing wrong with that, but there's so much else to her. So I hope I've whet your palate a little bit. I will include in the YouTube description. I always upload these from my social media to YouTube where I can write more. I will include the link to the New Moon Circle that I did for the Wellness Universe, where I tell the stories in more detail of Pallas, Athena, and Medusa, of the maiden mother and crone aspects of Athena. So what I will leave you with is a chant that I also haven't sung in probably about 3 years that just really evokes Athena for me. So I invite you, your job, and in terms of connecting with this particular member of your inner goddess team, if she resonates with you, is to think about where in your life have you not followed your inner wisdom, not followed your intuition. And she is reminding us to listen to our guts. She's also reminding us to step into our full power. So ask yourself, where have you been disempowered or feel like someone has leached your power from you? Or where have you done it to yourself? And that's when you want to call on Athena. So this is a wonderful chant from the lovely chant singer Shelley Graff that calls in the serpent energy, and it's one of my favorites. See if I can do it with my croaky voice. Sacred women circle round, she calls us to remember. She comes to us within our dreams and holds us close and tender. Women chanting, snaking round, she works her magic powers. Little croaky, sorry. Teaching us to shed our skin, to weave this sacred hour. I'll sing it one more time, maybe down a little bit. Sacred women circle round, she calls us to remember. She comes to us within our dreams, that's the wisdom, the intuition, and holds us close and tender. Women chanting, snaking round, she works her magic powers, teaching us to shed our skin, to weave this sacred hour. So, thank you for this lightning fast look at one of the most major goddesses in Greek mythology, in the world, really. It's fun to finally do something, and of course I couldn't do justice to it all here. So take a look at the ritual that I did virtually at the Wellness Universe. Look at some of the resources I'll give you. Do your own exploration if you haven't already. So many people, so many women and men, frankly, identify with these qualities, these amazing qualities of Athena. I hope you will too. I hope you will work with her and play with her, and I will see you here. I think I'm back next week. Namaste, namaste, and go discover your own inner wise warrior. Bye for now.